Welcome along to the BNP Paribas Open in 2017. This, of course, the first of the Masters 1000 events of the year. I'm Nick Lester. Alongside me, Robbie Koenig will be your commentary team this week, alongside Lee Goodall and Sam Gore. And I know you get a very special feeling when you come back here, bro.
I mean, how can you not, right? I mean, this place is absolutely spectacular. I mean, look at the views behind us. You've got the mountains, and the fan experience here is such a wholesome one. They make everything possible to accommodate the fans around the practice course. We've got Roger Federer out here just behind us now, heading with Alexander Zverev, and you can see the stands here are packed. This is all a new addition over the last couple of years. Again, it's all about making the best possible experience for the fans and as well as the players. The locker rooms, everything is taken care of here to the nth degree. And a lot of players, as a result, bring their families here because it is so nice.
We're fortunate to travel the tour, obviously, a fair bit. I don't think I can think of another tournament that has grown so much over the last 4 or 5 years, Rob, as this one.
Yeah, and I think you've got to give a few people credit here. First of all, Ray Moore, for everything that he was able to establish and bringing Larry Ellison on board. And of course, we know Larry's got deep pockets and he's helped obviously lay that platform. And of course, this year, again, a lot more things that have been added. I think you've got 13,000 padded seats now in the centre court, something like 16 more restaurants. All the television compounds have been upgraded, and once again the fan experience has been made even better with more shaded areas. So they never stop trying to improve, and it's great obviously to have Mr. Ellison on board to be able to provide the funding for something like that. Yeah,
the tournament goal a few years ago was to get 500,000 people here through the gates over the course of the 10 days. I think last year they were at something like 430,000, so they're not far off. And you suspect it will probably be just a matter of time before they do break that 500,000 mark. From perspective of the players, Rob, talk a little bit about the conditions, the balls. Obviously, we're in the desert. The ball tends to fly a little bit, but at the same time, it does fluff up as well.
It does. You don't have the humidity here, folks, like you will have next week in Miami. A lot more humidity. The balls tend to get a lot heavier, so they ping through the air a lot quicker through the air. But the court surface here, generally over the years, has been quite a coarse one. So when it hits the court surface, it slows down dramatically. And it's getting used to that contrast that it takes players a fair while. We've seen Andy Murray struggle over the years, haven't we? It's a tournament where he hasn't played particularly well. Nick was telling me that he's come here early to prepare and hopefully alleviate some of the problems that he's had. So there's many things to consider with the conditions. Playing in the middle of the day, a lot hotter. Play at night, it's a lot cooler. When it's cooler, the ball's a lot slower through the air. So what we see is a lot of the players will try and practice at a similar sort of time of the day as to when they're going to play matches, Nick.
Yeah, we'll talk about Murray in a moment, but of course when the draw was made, all the attention really was on that bottom quarter of the draw, an incredibly loaded section including Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Del Potro, Kyrgios, Zverev. I don't remember a section like that, not on the Masters 1000 in my career, so I'm following this sport.
I think I saw someone tweet the other day, I think you got 3 former champions of this event in that section, as well as 4 Grand Slam champions. So it's as loaded as it's ever going to be, and it just seems at the moment that these tough draws are following Novak around. It's unbelievable. I mean, last week in Acapulco he had Del Potro and Kyrgios in his section of the draw as well. It's the same and then some this week. I mean, chance of doing the double-double.
Yeah, amazing. And you've got to remember as well that Juan Martín Del Potro was the last player to beat Djokovic here 4 years ago. Of course, he's on a hat-trick of titles. In fact, he's done the sunshine double, as they like to call it over here, 3 years in a row. Some achievement that perhaps has been a little underrated when you consider the conditions in terms of going, as you say, from one to the other. Talk about Novak specifically, Rob. Where's his game at coming in here?
It's a good question, Nick. I'm so hesitant to write him off's the wrong word, but I almost still want to have him as co-favourite at this event, despite the poor run of form he's had of late. And I say that because of the feel-good factor when he comes here. Because he's done so well historically. Players love that feeling of coming back to a place where they've had good results. So that's counting hugely in his favour. Yes, the results haven't gone his way. And yes, he's had a tough draw. But I've got to give a shout-out to Cindy Black3 on Twitter, who formulated a beautiful table which showcased perfectly how tough Novak's draws have been at these Masters 1000s. In order to win all his titles here at this level, and he's won a lot of them, he's had by far the toughest draws when you compare him to the likes of Nadal, Federer and Murray. And we'll retweet that and have a look at that. It breaks down things like matches against top 5 opponents, matches against the big 4, top 10 and top 20 opponents. So he's done it the tough way. So Djokovic fans will tell us, well, he's done it the tough way previously, why can't he do it again this year?
Absolutely. Potential for Federer to meet Nadal, I think, in the 4th round here. That would be their earliest meeting, we were looking, weren't we, since 2004. So again, underlining just how tough that particular section is. Federer off that loss in Dubai to Donskoy. Chipped away at the conference at all or not? Was he straight back at it here?
Probably not. I think he's so good at hitting the delete button, so it won't really matter. And I think he'll enjoy the conditions here, being nice and quick as well. Not too dissimilar from Dubai. So I don't think it's a biggie as far as he is concerned. But I think we've got to give a mention. We mentioned both. Nick mentioned both of them, both Kyrgios and Zverev, the two next gen. For me, the most talented of the next gen guys, also in that section of the draw. Of the two, who do you think can do more damage?
I think Zverev probably long term at the moment, I think, given the conditions here. But it's interesting because that was my next question to you. Do you think a next gen player will win a Masters this year? Or are we a little early, do you think? You
say Zverev. For me, if one guy's going to do it, it's going to be Nick. I think that he has got that X factor. I don't think Zverev's quite there yet. And he just showed us last week he loves the big moments when he was able to beat Djokovic in the manner in which he beat him in Acapulco, served him off the court, and then losing to a lesser ranked player in the next round. It's almost like, hang on, I'm made for the big occasion. I want to play another top player, and that's what I like about Nick at the moment. So for me, if of those two next gen guys that's going to come through that section of the draw, if one guy were to prevail and I were to pick him, I would go with Kyrgios over Zverev actually.
Shouldn't be forgotten as well, of course, folks, that the next gen finals takes place this year for the very first time in Milan, isn't it, in November? So that should be an exciting prospect. Let's go to the top of the draw. World number 1, Andy Murray. Rob was talking about his troubles here over the years. Just the one final and a couple of semi-finals. Why has he not played well here?
I don't know. It's a good question. We spoke about the contrasting conditions. He loves playing in North America. He loves playing on hard courts. So it's quite an anomaly for me that he struggles so much here. Conditions are always pretty good. You don't play with a lot of wind here.
Does it get inside a player's head
Definitely.
when they've come here for 10 years?
Definitely.
A guy like Murray who's been so successful and yet he can't do it here.
As I said a little earlier, Nick, you talk about that feel-good factor when you come back to a place where you've had former glories, or in Murray's case, a lot of defeats, and it starts to wear you out mentally, and you walk through the gates and you don't have that good feeling, and you know it's been a struggle. So that courses through your veins, and it's amazing, folks. If you have a look at a player's ranking. Not so much the top guys, because they perform well generally week in and week out. Even guys between 10 and 20, you'll be amazed how often they accumulate their points at the same events year in and year out.
Murray flying from Dubai, actually, having won the title here, coming straight here, a long flight, but he's got here perhaps a little earlier than he would have done in previous years in order to try and turn that around. Talked about the big names. Who else is in the mix this week, Robert, as far as you're concerned? Who else could be a danger?
I think we've mentioned everybody in the bottom quarter of the
draw. What about someone like a Stan Wawrinka in the top half? His record's poor here.
Yeah, he's another guy who struggled here. And again, I don't know why. You'd think that the conditions would be pretty good for him here. I just don't know the answer. But you never know with Stan, do you, these days? When he's hot, he's white hot. But when he's cool, he's ice cold. But I'm such a big fan of the way he plays. And I'm so hesitant to write him off because he's just like Kyrgios, loves the big moment. He wants to play the best players in the world on the biggest stages. For Stan, it's about getting through the draw initially and just surviving. If he can get to around the 16 quarters, that's when I think he's most dangerous. I think it's going to be first and foremost on his mind. But honourable mention for somebody who's not here, and it's very disappointing for me, is of course last year's finalist Milos Raonic.
A leg injury forced him out, I think.
Yeah, so that's disappointing that we don't have him here, because I think conditions are ideal for him to do well in this kind of environment. But it's a pity he's not here, Nick.
Yeah, a few ranking points dropping off for Raonic. I think I'm running something that if Nadal does well here, he will overtake Raonic in the rankings as well. Just a final word on this period of the season, Rob. Of course, the first of the Masters 1000s. It really hots up from here on in, isn't it? All the way through, really, to the US Open.
Yeah, it really does. Of course, we go from here to Miami. Players have had a decent break now. They've played in Australia. Some have played a tournament before coming here. There's no reason for them not to be fine-tuned. They've had plenty of time to get their fitness levels up, get their game to where they want it, and this is when you want to see the guys really kick into. We're getting into the meat of the tennis season now, as you said, basically from here to the last major of the year at the US Open. That is when most of the action happens, and it'll be fascinating to watch. Always great to call the matches alongside you, and hopefully we can have some great battles this week. And
give us your winner. Who's winning this tournament?
Man, I knew you put me on the spot there. You know what? I think Andy Murray is going to win his first title here.
Okay.
Defy the odds, defy the fact that he hasn't played well here, and get the job done somehow. But my question to you is, who's coming through in the bottom half of the draw?
I'm going Nadal to win this tournament, and therefore getting through the bottom half of the draw.
Okay.
That's where we're at. I hope you can join us tomorrow, guys. Of course, the men's action starts on Thursday. Will be at 11 o'clock local time. Robbie, myself, and Lee and Sam will be bringing you commentary.